Welcome to Advocacy Talks, a podcast from the advocacy team at Vision Ireland. Here's what's coming up on this episode.
99.9 lecturers do not mind sitting down and, kind of listening to me, trying to understand what works, what doesn't. The most important thing is they want to try it. They want to talk about the problem, because if you don't talk, then how should you solve the problem?
And now here's Madeleine McNamara.
Hello everybody, and thank you so much for listening to Advocacy Talks today. Well, before I introduce today's guest to you, I just wanted to remind you about our last episode of Advocacy Talks when I was joined by Adela Bullerman from Viali, and we had a really interesting conversation about the European Accessibility Act, which is all about digital accessibility and the requirements that are now on businesses to be fully compliant with that. And we kind of highlighted the importance of making complaints to businesses if their services are not accessible, but also to the various regulators that are monitoring the situation. So if you missed that episode, do go back and have a listen. Well, today on the programme, I'm going to be talking all about the experiences of people with disabilities who are studying at third level. And to help me discuss that, I'm joined by Wiktoria Kaminska, who is a student at the Technical University in Dublin, studying in Tallaght, and she is totally blind and also is partially deaf. So Wiktoria, welcome to Advocacy Talks.
Hello, it's great to be here.
Oh, we're delighted to have you on the programme today, and thank you so much, because it'd be really interesting to hear about your experiences. We might start off by I just ask you what course are you studying in TUD?
I'm studying computing science. It's a computer science now. I call it computing more, the newer version. At the moment, I'm doing higher certificate in computing. So it's a 2-year course. Mostly based on different areas of computing, for example, software development, so learning the basics of programming, kind of understanding each area of computers, like software, hardware, operating systems. You also have mathematics in it.
Mathematics, that's always a challenge for me.
But it's not really normal maths. It's like basic maths with first, second generation of computers plus your own brain. So that's how it works. So at the moment I am in second year. And in second year, you have to choose a specialization. You have 4 of them. You have software development, you have cloud computing, AI, or IT systems. I chosen software development because I love programming. Programming is my favorite area of computers.
Oh, great.
I'm in this semester, I'm using 5 programming languages: Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, in the SQL, so I'm kind of jumping from one language to another.
Wow, that sounds
but it's
great.
very interesting. I do enjoy it, even though there are a lot of accessibility challenges. And also, I have a bit of a after second year, I am hoping to do the full degree in computing. So I hope that will work well to allow me to get a job.
Yes. So will you be able to, do you have to then start a new degree, or can you continue on and this course kind of be part of the degree? If you know what I mean? So would you just have to do an extra year, or would you have to do another 3 years?
So as far as I'm aware, I may be wrong. I'll be talking to the computing staff after finishing second year. As far as I'm aware, I can just jump into third year to the most suitable degree that I think. I would like to do computing with software, but I'm not sure yet is that the best choice for me due to accessibility, like what kind of programs it have. I always try to kind of go through what's gonna be in the program, because, for example, if I would choose AI, I would be completely lost because it's very visual topics in it, which in software, there are visual topics, but there are things that I understand well, and with the support of college or out of college or me doing extra studying, I understand that very well, which in AI, I don't fully get it, and I would be fully lost. So that's why I think software is my strong knowledge around it. So I would like to educate myself more in that.
That sounds really good. And you mentioned there, obviously the challenges because of your disability, and maybe you might like to just highlight what some of those are in terms of, your course, but also, more generally around being in the university setting with a visual impairment and your hearing loss.
Yes. So there are a lot of challenges every day. Like even finding around myself the college is a big problem. First, there are like 5 different buildings. I'm mainly in 2. I'm in the main building, and they built a very nice new building called Northern House, which is I can't see, but even when you walk around, you can feel it's brand new. It's a very nice building. But even getting from there to there, I would not be able to do it myself. Like I need assistance. Same when I know how to get to the from the main building. I know how to get from the front door to the disability support learner, but that's kind of it. Like I find very hard to navigate the college on my own. Maybe we've had more mobility training, but the problem with mobility training, I find it extremely hard with mobility instructors due to my hearing situation. So they don't really fully get my way of learning. So my brain understands things by touch. That's the best way I learn. A lot of people don't get it. And for example, they love showing it by a visual way, which I just have a great laugh out of it.
Yes, it seems a bit ridiculous when you're completely blind, aren't you? You don't have any sight at all.
No, I don't have any sight at all, and I had like 2% of vision to around, I don't know, 10, 11. But if you asked me what I seen, I barely remember. So I don't care about it. Sight, I don't care about it at all, because that's how most of my life was. That I wasn't focused on it. I was focused on touch and hearing. Unfortunately, hearing went very badly bad. Like it went worse. So this is another challenge that I find hard to hear lectures when we have the lecture classes. Even though if I sit at the front, I can barely hear them at the front. It's a nightmare. That's why my personal assistant, and myself hate lectures, because he's not able to follow and type for me what the lectures are saying, because they talk like, yeah, here's a slide, look at the slide, yeah, you get it? The end. That's what they talk. So it's very bad for him to type it. And also he said he doesn't mind typing it, but the problem is they look at slide 1 and then after 2 minutes they jump to slide 20. So he's not able to see the slide 1 anymore. So he's not able to type it for me. So it's a big problem. I have asked, can they give me notes before the lecture? So even if there's certain things they're saying and it's not in the lecture, he can type beside them.
Yes,
some lectures are very, very supporting, and they don't mind and will do it. Others, they say, oh yeah, I'll send it to you later, and then I have to read it like in my own time instead of practicing something. So it is a bit of a challenge, but I am trying to figure it out, and the college is also trying to understand it better. But it's very challenging, because when I came, I was able to hear them. It's just over the last year and a half, my hearing went so bad that I can't hear them anymore. So it's a ginormous challenge for everyone.
So it's a case
Um,
really of supports that you had initially, and maybe you could just tell us, you've said there that you have an assistant,
yes.
and are there any other supports that you have in terms of technology supports or anything like that that the university provide?
Well, technology, I kind of by myself. When it comes to certain programs, I just download them in class. So lectures kind of say, okay, hey, this is the program I'm gonna use. So what I do, I try to use the same software as everyone uses. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't always work.
Mm.
So if it doesn't work, I try and ask support through, we have the connection meetings that Adele does for students, and sometimes there are a few computer science people. So we kind of discuss the problem we have and we try to look at advice. In the VI labs, there's two great guys in Vision Island that I talk from time to time if I'm stuck. So I try to look in college support, out college support. Like personal assistant, he has some computer science knowledge. So I know there are a lot of things, it's new to him, but there are a lot of things that he's aware and he knows. So he gives me a bit of assistance as well. The last while I had to ask for assistance from the IT technician who, wow, I'm very proud of the guy because, okay, he uses keyboard shortcuts for his work, but he went and learned NVDA, the screen reader we have to, to read out for us. But now I'm not really a screen reader user. I have it on, but I'm silent because I use a Braille display, a Braille keyboard.
Ah,
So
okay,
whatever I have on the screen, no, it has to be text. Whatever
right.
text I have on the screen, I can read in Braille. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was getting assistance from the IT technician. Now the databases lecture arranged that in the first place because there was an issue with the software we have to use for like using a database by a language called SQL, so kind of understanding how to build kind of your own database. Um, or use a database that, it's not really properly done. So from a user point of view, you wouldn't be able to type in, for example, your name to search, I don't know what company you're working for, or for example, in Vision Island, you have different departments, and the way we have it, we just have like certain tables.
Yeah.
So when you would type in, for example, advocacy, it wouldn't find that straight away because we have to do certain software stuff to make that working. So this was the first kind of point where a lecturer said, let's see, can the IT technician support me? And he
Yeah.
really done a ginormous research. And last Friday, he was sitting with me for 3 hours to give me assistance in certain things that it was very nice to be able to use them, but I wasn't really able to use them independently because of the accessibility problems. Like I was able to do the work, but I wasn't able to see what's happening on the screen.
Yeah.
Challenges like that happen every day. No, they don't surprise me anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shows an immense, amount of determination that you have to kind of keep going and to be able to do this course, even given all of those challenges, because that really is difficult. And, obviously you're having to put in a lot more work than most students would, in order to undertake your degree. So, I mean, it's really admirable, that you're able to do that. I mean, it sounds as if, the university is providing some supports, but there's still challenges in terms of, because the technology, as you say, isn't accessible, or, they just maybe don't have a complete understanding of of the type of way that you learn, maybe, do you
Yes,
think?
yes. Like there is still a lot of like Braille technology, not many people know about it. Like it's very new. Like it does exist for the last, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years, but not many people know it's actually there. So, for example, when I'm explaining to someone that, okay, I do have a screen reader on because it has to convert by the built-in Braille application to my Braille keyboard. Like without that, it won't work. But I don't really use it, and a lot of people get mixed up, and they think, then what, do you use the screen reader or not?
Yeah.
And then when they sit down with me and say, oh, okay, so you actually use a Braille keyboard, you have an extra physical of technology that is converting it into Braille. And I said, yes, that's the way how I do it, and that's the way I found it the most easiest, because in school I was trying to use Braille and screen readers, but you see, my brain, because I have a hearing problem from age of 10, 11, my brain find it much easier to read the topic than to listen to it.
Yes. Yeah. That makes sense. We're all learners in different ways, and people would be, even though I have sight loss, I would be kind of quite a visual learner, which is kind of ironic, I think. But other people are very much auditory learners, and as you say, for you, it's that sort of tactile way of learning through feel. So it is, isn't it? It's about knowing what works for you and being able to use those ways. I'm wondering whether, in terms of do you have we've just talked about, the fact that you need to read the things, but I'm wondering whether or not, do you use any sort of technology to record lectures, and could they then be transcribed into some sort of format for you?
No, I don't record them, because I know there are softwares that you can convert into text. Now, policies and all of that, I don't think it would allow it.
Right.
Like in previous college, when I was asking, just in case, because I was thinking of a couple of implant operations, I was just looking into, just ahead of ways, if, it'll take me a long time to hear again. I said, could I not just record? And there is a software, I don't remember the name of it, that it will convert into text for you. I don't think it's allowed. Like, I did ask a few times different people, and they said
I'd be surprised.
It's not a problem with them. It's just legally there could be some problems. So yeah, it would make life a million times easier.
I think you should look into that again, because I know people who do record lectures and it's not a problem at all. So I think that is possibly something that you should be able to access and to use. There are technologies available to enable you to do that, as you were saying. So I think if that would help, given the levels of disability you have in terms of the hearing and the sight, then it's it would be a totally acceptable way of being able to access the information from the lecture. So I think it is, it's a real challenge for you. And I think, as you say, dealing with the two things, and it seems as if you've had to kind of adapt, and the university's having to adapt in terms of the supports that it can provide. And do you, just to maybe go back to the beginning, when you were initially applying to go to TU Dublin, did you register then with, how does it work? Did you register with the disability service with them, and how did that process happen?
So the first thing I've done, like, I applied to TU Dublin even a year before I came, because I didn't really know the process, how many points you need. So I said I'll apply and see what they say. So I done my first application in, I think it was 2022, when I was finishing a different course. But they said it's not enough points, so you have to do another course, and they kind of explained where and which one, which was a bit of a nightmare, so I don't think it's important in this talk. So once kind of I knew I wanted to go, the first step I done, I found out and went to the website to see, do they have a disability support learner? And because TU Dublin has 5 locations, to know, do they have one just in one location, or do they have it in each location? So like at that time, I had no idea. So I kind of done a bit of research on that. Once I knew I can go there, I had made I think I just sent an email. There was an email address on the website, and the TU Dublin. I selected the Tallaght campus, and I just contacted and saying, I'd like to know how it works if I have a disability, and the supports I'm gonna need, and if I apply for a course, what way it's gonna work. So I got an email from, I don't remember, was it the same person who works with me since I came, or was it someone different? But someone replied to me and said, first, you need to know what course you want to do, and then once you have done that, we can talk about the disability, like my disability and the support we can give you. But they recommended attend an open day and try and see is there a disability support learner. So there was a disability support learner. I'm not sure if she's still sharing the job like she did when I met her. But it was a very, very nice person who explained to me everything about the disability support learner, how it works, what support they can give to me. And she said, don't worry about anything. You can always come to us and talk about things. And I kind of can see what she said. It works like that any problem I have, I can come down and say, okay, hey, this and this problem is happening. I tried sorting it out myself, but I feel like I'm getting nowhere. Would you mind giving some advice or talking instead of me? And I know even in situations they have no idea, they will try and contact, I don't know, the main lecturer of the course and talk to them, or the main computing, I don't know what they're called, but like higher than the main lecturer, to kind of talk, like the school of computing,
head of
to
department,
kind of
maybe.
talk. So I do feel from them I have a ginormous support, and there are times that I would be very lost without them. So there are amazing support. Like I know it doesn't matter, is it something to do even with things that they have no idea. They at least listen and try and say, hey, I'll contact this and this person and try and see what can we do, what can we look in. I'll give you an example, because I have to do a project to end this year. Now the software we're using, it's very bad, and it's a new software. So a lot of students are also not familiar with it. Lecturers find it tricky as well. So it's not an easy thing. And I was using this for like 2 months, trying to learn it to be able to do the project independently. I wasn't happy to say to them, I'm so sorry, but it's really bad. I'm not able to do it independently. And I was feeling, because it's for 2 subjects, that one lecture says one thing, and it makes sense. And then I go to the next lecture, his saying was also making sense, but it was very, very confusing. So I sent an email to the disability support learner and said, hey, I'm really confused. We're in week 9, so like nearly close to coming up to the end of the semester. I said, I still have no idea how to do the project. I don't want to fail the subjects, so I would like to know, do you have any advice? And she got back to me, I think, the same day, saying, let's do a meeting in person and discuss this. So, we had the talk, kind of saying what way I should do it, what should I say to the lecture. The good thing was that one of the lecturers is very understanding and wanted to understand how I use it from a keyboard shortcut point of view without clicking and using a mouse. And she was like so like saying, I don't know what you're even doing. Like, it takes me, when you have like certain files and folders, like normally if I type in the first 3 letters of it, I can see that particular folder and I can see that particular file. In this software, it took me like 30 minutes to find the right folder. And it took me another 20 minutes to find the right file. It's a nightmare. So I was very happy the disability support learner kind of said her point of view. Let's say, for example, talk to them, what can I do independently, what not, and we kind of came up with a plan, all of us. So I know what I'm doing. The lecture suggested a completely different software and said, there's no point sitting there not, like I played with it for the 2 months, and with assistance of someone, I was able to do it a bit, but I was feeling lost to kind of do a project to get a grade. So she said, I'll connect you with someone else because it's a group project. And unfortunately, I have to do it on my own. So she said, there's no point you struggling when there's only 1/4 left of the semester. Just try and do as much as possible. And I got a support from a 4th-year student who's a very nice person, really wants to learn from me. So like we found a solution through, sitting down and discussing it. And I think to whatever disability you have, it's very important that the disability support learner wants to sit down and talk to you about these things, even though she has no idea about the software or the subject, because it's all computing. So even if I explain to you what it is, it'd be like nothing to you.
Yeah.
Because it's all to do with computing. But I'm saying, even though it's something she's not using physically, she still wanted to listen. She still said her opinion. She said she can contact the lecturer and explain to it. The lecturer done an online meeting with me saying there's really no point continuing this because she saw it. I'm getting nowhere. I told her after 2 months, I feel like I'm getting nowhere. So I'm trying to say, at least they're trying to come up with a solution by wanted to talk about this, because sometimes, it's the biggest problem and challenge. If I'm noticing something is not working and I want to explain to them and look into it to find a solution, and they feel like, oh, but, just keep trying using my tool. Then when you feel like a bit frustrated and sad because they're not really want to even sit down and talk with you what works, what doesn't work, and then it really complicates it. That's why I'm very pleased and happy that 99.9 lecturers do not mind sitting down and, kind of listening to me, trying to understand what works, what doesn't. Some lectures need a bit longer time to understand it. Others may be quicker, but the most important thing is they want to try. That's what I always, I'm really happy about that. They want to talk about the problem, because, if you don't talk, then how should you solve the problem?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, as you say, it's a lot of persistence on your part. And I think, what I hope we can get across today is that it is possible. You're doing computer science, which is a really difficult subject, and particularly with all of the different technologies and everything that you're having to use. But with persistence and with the right support, it's possible. And I think, that's what I really want to try and get across, is that it's so important that, the universities and third level institutions kind of do have these programs to have supports for people with disabilities, but there's a huge learning for them. And as you say, that being able to listen to what your difficulties are and to try and understand and to take from you, because what you need, and what doesn't work and what might work, but they need to give you the options and to work with you. And it's great to hear that they are trying to kind of find a way through. And I think that that's really important for people to remember. I'm sure that a lot of people are, going to university, and it's tough. It is a hard road, and with a disability, it's only harder, but it is possible. And I just think, to try and encourage people to be like you and to give it a go, to reach out though for support, to advocate for yourself, to kind of really say, look, this isn't working, I need something else. What can we do?
Yes. Like, if the student won't mention it to them, they have no idea what to do. So I have noticed that, I always say it's a double challenge, because it's a challenge for me to be able to do all the things that I have to do to pass. because certain things are very badly designed that my assistant has to, click and drag on certain things, and I just read the instructions and say, okay, can you click on this icon? Like, even in the instructions it says icon, I'm reading it like, Jesus, what is this? But we try to work together to kind of, that it's not he's fully doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I wouldn't explain how things work, things would be a million times harder. So
Yeah.
what I'm happy of myself, that I'm a very open person, and I don't mind talking about it, about good and bad things. So that's what I'm always happy, that I don't have the problem to, contact the disability support learners, ask her, hey, are you free in a week or two to have a either online or in-person chat? I don't know, this and that is not working. Like even with notes, some lectures have tons of text and they have few images, but they tell me don't care about them. So I don't care about them. But there are certain notes that are maybe 2 lines of text, and then the whole explanation to it is in screenshots.
It doesn't work. So you need, you have to then go and explain and get them to, and they need to be providing you that something that is accessible.
Yeah, exactly. So I talk to lecturers, because they're the people who are doing the notes in the first place. So I go to them. But when it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, I say the same thing. Even my personal assistant talks as well about it, because he said to me he learned a lot from me as well. So he's kind of aware that, this way of notes doesn't work. And one thing I don't get, if you really don't have the time to type the work into a text, even if you put down 3 words by using a function called alt text, it would be very helpful. Unfortunately, no one does it. So then when there's a screenshot, my Braille keyboard is blank.
Yeah.
So I have to guess it's an image, and sometimes I open the file, it's like 2 sentences, and that's all. So in this case, I also went to the disability support learner and I said, I have spoken to the lectures. I had showed them, showed what where it has to be. And I said, I repeat myself week by week, and I still get the notes in the same format. And I said, we're going to have an assessment. And they say to me, read notes from week to 5. I open the notes and I can barely read them.
Yeah.
So I said to her, if you don't mind having a conversation, like I don't mind talking about this, even forever if they wanted. But what I wasn't happy about, that nothing got changed. Like they didn't even try to make any changes. Notes were in the same format. After like a couple of weeks, when the disability support learner discussed the whole thing, and the main lecturer as well discussed with all lecturers, there have been some improvements, but there's still a good bit to do. Now we are nearly coming up to the end of this semester, so my main goal is just to have the things as whatever they have, to try and have certain things accessible. So like I do ask, for example, some notes they just show you a sample program, the way it should work when you do it. So I asked them, do you have this sample program? Did you code this, or did you just take it from a website? Like, the source of information they have it from. So if it's a website, then I just try and search for it so I can read what's actually there, because I am going to have a lot of assessments when we come back. So that's why I was asking them before we left, can you send me, what you done yourself? So when I'm reading, because the way when I'm reading notes is like, they're explaining the topic, and then they said, here's a sample program. So I can see that sentence. And then my Braille keyboard is blank. So I have no idea what's the sample program. Now, the lecturer for that subject, called software development, she is very nice, and she is sending through email, so like no one else kind of has it, to me saying, this is my sample work. So I do get that. So I said that's very helpful. If she gives me that, then there's no point really her retyping what's in the screenshots, because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So there are improvements, but I think they still kind of have to do a bit more.
It seems as if
Um,
there's kind of something that needs to be done on a more kind of structural level, in a sense of, the awareness generally across the university. Oh, yes, there's the disability support services available, but the knowledge and understanding by individual lecturers is very
yes.
mixed, and you're going to find
Um,
some lecturers who are really on board and do their best and all the rest of it, and then you'll have other people who are kind of entrenched in the way they've always done something and don't want to change or don't understand or
exactly.
don't have the time or whatever.
Yes,
So I
yes.
think there is definitely work to be done there, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit of a battle, isn't it? But things are certainly improving. I went to
Yeah,
college. I went to
so
university a long time ago, and there wasn't the technology that we have now. I did have a laptop, but it didn't have any kind of assistive technology on it or anything. And apart from that, I didn't have anything. So it's definitely better than it
well, I
was,
fully get
but there's
that.
always room for improvement, and you can certainly hear that
Yes,
from
yes.
talking to you. And all credit to you for all of the effort and that you're putting into getting what you need out of this course, and can only really congratulate you on that, and kind of wish you every success going forward, with
Mm-hmm.
this year, and hopefully going on to do the third year to make it into a degree and
Yes, yes.
onto an amazing career. So thank you so much for giving the time to
Well,
talk to me today. I really, really do appreciate it. There is a lot of information out there on the
yes.
web for people who are wanting to study. For people who are going sort of straight from school, there is the DARE program, which people might be aware of. You can check out that, which gives access to reduced points for people with disabilities going into university. So do check those things out if you're a school leaver, or I think under 23 you can access the DARE program. So that's there for people. So yeah, but thank you once again, Victoria, for giving us your
Yes, and
time.
just to say one important thing, that if things don't work the first time, don't give up. Keep trying.
Mm,
Whoever
absolutely.
whoever who's coming from school to university, because that's what happened to me. Like when I applied the first time to TU Dublin, they said, "Oh, but you're missing this and certain things." I said, "Okay, then explain to me what I have to do to get in here." So if things don't work the first time, don't be afraid to try to do a bigger research. And also, what I think is very important. Now, I'm not sure about other disabilities, but vision impaired and blind, like Vision Ireland, have a lot of kind of knowledge about the courses and kind of support they can give. So I would recommend that contacting them. Unfortunately, when I was going into college, I didn't know this kind of exists.
Yeah.
So, but
No,
yeah,
no.
that's what I would say, now, after, a couple of years kind of searching courses and being in different colleges, to definitely, try and ask Vision Island for support if your disability is with sight. I don't know about other disabilities, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, the main one I have.
It may not, yeah, exactly. That's great advice, Victoria. Honestly, it is that. It's reach out to the supports that are there, Vision Island. Don't give up. There are so many routes into university, and don't have to go straight from school. You can go through other courses and things to get there. So, and there are supports available. So thank you so much, Victoria. We really do
Thank you.
appreciate you talking to us today. So as Victoria was saying, if you do want support from Vision Island in any other way, whether it be to help with, getting into college and things like that, we have a website, which is www.vi.ie, but you can also always call our info line on 1800 911 250. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation today, and hopefully it's inspired you to go on to third level if you haven't already. Yes, it's challenging, but where there's a will, there's a way. So go for it, and the best of luck if you do choose to do that. All right, we'll talk to you again next time. Bye bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Advocacy Talks. To get in touch with our advocacy team, send us an email to campaigns@vi.ie, or why not join one of our local advocacy networks, where you can work together with others to solve some of the biggest problems facing blind and partially sighted people in Ireland. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.